Derek.
Hey, Trey.
Dude, it's hotter than blue blazes. We are grinding it out like the outdoor nationals is. I've got my sweat towel. You're doing construction. The studio pool deck is under renovation.
Yes.
We are 4 rounds deep into the outdoor nationals. You can tell it's the middle of summer. It's hot. And man, we're ready for episode 59.
Yeah, let's do it.
Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast, we're going to highlight, really this week, we have professional racing to cover, and maybe if there's any talk about 827, but there was a round at Dade City, but the kids are still on vacation, so Derek was construction manager this weekend. So let's talk High Point National. The track, man, that track is just, it looks cool. It's just a cool, that was what Michelle, when they showed the overhead view with Bubba going over what the track was, she's like, that just looks cool.
You can't see much of it though.
It's a good looking track.
Yeah, if you're there, you can't see much of it at all.
Well, there was a good crowd there.
Yeah,
there was a good crowd.
You can sit in the woods there where all the shadows are at, where it was real sloppy. You can sit up in the field. You can sit right there by the fence. I mean, you can be all over the place, but the one spot that you're at, you can't see the rest of the track. That's just how it works.
So Denver, the Colorado National, you can see a little bit better, but a lot of them are that way. I think a lot of them are that way because they're so spread out. You know, that's what makes outdoors different than Supercross. You sit in the stands in Supercross, you see everything. By the way, you sit in the stands in Supercross, you're still going to miss something. But outdoor nationals, you just take it as they are. But High Point delivered again this year. Some excitement, some drama. There was drama on Saturday in qualifying. We didn't know if Chase Sexton was even going to race after the crash he had.
Mm-hmm.
Landing on, the little RC stew, reminiscent of landing on top of somebody. And then we got into racing. But as we always do, even though TV sometimes gives us the 450s first, we don't have a sponsor that wants us to show them first. So we're going to talk 250s, and they are not disappointing.
No, the 250s was good this week.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Ty Masterpool. Like there's nobody better to win.
No.
I wish he was on top all the time. He's got a hell of a story. They kind of covered it this week, which was nice because I don't think a lot of people knew about the family loss, and there was actually 3 brothers instead of 2 at one point in time, and just the journey to get where he's at, plus all his struggles from last year. So it's so nice to see him bring home the W.
And congratulations to Mitch and Pro Circuit for their 300th win. Think about that. That's a lot. That's a lot of races.
Yeah.
That's a lot of races.
And they're the most winningest team at this point.
Yeah.
So, they always really have been. But to get 300 wins is incredible.
But it's kind of a cool story because it happened to a kid trying to get his first win, going through the trials and tribulations that he has gone through, the family has gone through, you name it, the ups and the downs, the bad talk from factories, the fans saying he can't do this, they won't listen, to Mitch Payton losing his father, getting his 300. Like the whole storyline was, wow, this was appropriate. It was appropriate.
Yeah, it all worked out the way it should have. Like I said, I can't think of a better way to get that win, and then for Ty to be that 300th on what it meant, to Mitch Payton, let alone what his family's been through. So it was pretty incredible.
And we have to touch on Deagan. Now, I read something that Deagan really didn't give credit to Masterpool after his moto win, but I listened to the interview. He was very complimentary.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about himself coming through, and the dude in 2 motos in 4 laps, he gained like 20 something seconds overall in those two motos. Like the kid, he's good. He's good. I don't think he stepped on himself this weekend. I don't think so. I think he, had there been one more turn, he would have won that moto too.
Yeah, I guarantee it. That would have sucked for Ty, but Deagan definitely would have had that. There's no doubt about it. But he, some of the stuff he says, like we've said 100 times, he drives me crazy. But Bubba was no different. I mean, he said how it was.
Yeah.
It's I think you're kind of saying like an old James Stewart in a way.
Well, you're getting. We want the personalities. We don't like them when we get them, but we want them. And I'm just to the point. I saw someone on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. They were like, "Dude, the guy is so good. Can we just not interview him anymore?"
Yeah.
Like, but this weekend, he he's proving if he wants that chip on his shoulder or that arrogance, he dominated everybody. He dominated everybody.
Yeah. I mean, there was nobody that could match his speed.
No. So if he has that chip on his shoulder, who's going to knock him off? Who's going to beat him straight up? And this weekend, yes, Ty won that moto and Ty had a great lead and he hung on, and that's what you have to do. But the best rider of the day was Hayden Deagan.
Yeah.
And I have the stomach to say that.
I mean, that's even 450s.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's anybody that rode like Hayden did.
No.
High Point's a very, very rough track. And you get any kind of water on it. I think I said this last week. You get any kind of water on it, turns into a mud fest.
Yeah.
It does, and it just takes the slightest little bit of water. The tops of the hills will stay dried out as it did, and then everything down in where the water flows, it doesn't drain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it drains too. So it gets gnarly, it gets rutted. It, as you could see, the ruts were insane, and it was technical. Nobody rode that like Hayden did.
No, and there was being patient. There were times it looked like they were going so slow, and we're going to talk about that. Like the Chase Sexton crash, he wasn't going fast. He just basically ate through the berm. But we'll talk about that when we get to him, when we get to 450s. But Chance Hymas, top 3, he's kind of becoming that guy. I guess he's becoming the podium guy.
Yeah, he's getting better by the week. He actually did. He had a really good ride.
Yeah.
For the track, like you said, there wasn't many guys pushing. They would push if they needed to push, but there was no sense taking that risk. But it seemed like Chance kind of pushed more than he held back. So, but it's just you couldn't stop Deagan.
Joe Shimoda with a very quiet 4th. Tom Vial had not a great weekend. Beaumer. Ryder DiFrancesco, that's a good ride for him. I don't know what happened in the second moto, but to finish 7th overall, that's not bad. I think, I mean, for him, for Troy Lee, Gas, I think they should be happy. Levi Kitchen, the disappointment of the weekend, he just didn't do good. Crashed, went down, crashed. It just looked out of sorts.
Yeah. There's nothing incredible by any means. As a Mark Finnis was.
That's the one I wanted to highlight.
Yeah, his whole shot. Oh God, his whole shot, and then I guess did he get the whole shot?
I don't know. No, Cody Schock got the whole shot.
That's right. There was all 3 of them were all put up together, but Mark's the one that took the lead early on, and he was fighting. Like those bikes were actually working outdoors for once.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was probably no way he was going to hold on to it, no matter what they did. And those bikes aren't competitive outdoors, and they know it. It's well known. But it was awesome to see them, all 3 of them, put that thing out front.
Yeah.
And kind of run away there for a little bit with them.
Yeah, I thought that was a great ride. I saw some smartass on the internet. Oh, look, the FXR muck-off bike blew up. Club MX, it blew up. Well, it blew up because he crashed and blew out the radiator. That's why it blew up. It
had nothing to do with the motor.
No, it didn't blow up because the bike didn't work. I mean,
it was well overheated.
Yeah. I mean, and he rode well the first moto. Cody Schock rode well both motos. I mean, Cody Schock went 14-12. I mean, we can't expect more from them at this point until they get some factory true help on those bikes. They can't. I think economically, it doesn't make sense to build motors for it. I mean,
they have some pretty nasty motors.
Yeah,
honestly, but factory motors are a lot of machining. There's a lot done to those motors that are true. The privateer teams like that. I mean, privateer in a way.
Yeah,
are incapable of creating. But jumping from them to Joe Shimoda. we had a somewhat muddy track, and he's got an overheating clutch again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm truthfully starting to believe that it's him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's the Honda clutches. I think he overworks clutch in the wet conditions. You know, we seen it in Supercross like twice. He fried a clutch once in Supercross, and then you come out here a few laps in, he's overheating a clutch.
And we'll see how that plays out in 2 weeks at Southwick, because Southwick on the 250s will be a place, if they're heavy on the clutch, it'll eat the bike up.
Yeah, yeah, it's the deep sand, and you know it's well known for being one of the hardest tracks out there.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see how it pans out, or if they make some changes to kind of keep that bike a little cooler. But he's overworking it, and that causes the motor to heat up. And
yeah.
Obviously after Moto 1, they had to rebuild the whole motor because they were afraid that it got too hot.
Yeah. He still had a good weekend, but it's just he's not there. He's not close.
No,
he's not close.
No, you know, Supercross, I think he's much more fluent.
Yeah.
I don't think he's much of an outdoors guy. I mean, he's still up there. Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
No, that's the thing, is
he's not a top contender. Right. I don't think, you know, for a few laps maybe, but I do think he overworks the bikes too much. It's almost like he rides them in a Supercross style. You know, you're using a lot of clutch in Supercross and the tight technical, and it's like he's riding that bike in a Supercross style, and it overheats the living hell out of him.
Well, it's so much longer and so much more duration. I mean, you think it was 215 to 220 lap times. They're running 3 laps in a Supercross track for that one lap of motocross. Yeah. I mean, it's a long haul on those bikes.
Yeah,
with a lot of stress. And really, if you looked at that track, there was a lot of flow. There was only a couple really sharp corners where you might need to modulate the clutch. You could let that bike flow on that track.
Yeah, but it got to the point where the ruts got so deep that you're probably doing a lot of clutch work in that deep stuff, so you're not sticking in I mean, you got to power through them, but you got to force that power out of them with the clutch, because I mean, if I was riding it, that's how I would ride it, because you come down in there, you shift down coming down into those hills, but you also wanted to keep the bikes in a higher gear with the mud and everything else. So when you're in that mud, you don't want to rev out the bike, but you need to get the power to get through the rut. So you are going to be using a lot of clutch compared to some of these other ones. But there was a lot of the outside lines were pretty flowy. You just stand up and ride around it, but some of them got so deep that there's a lot of clutch work involved.
The Joey Savacci, poor guy. I don't know if he's not getting good starts. I don't know what's happening. We haven't gotten to see him battle. I mean, second moto, he comes out, gets 7th. Great, cool, great job. But he cannot put 2 motos together.
No, and I did get an insight on these Triumph bikes. The Triumph is the fastest 250 out of the crate.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Which is incredible. Like, I'd love to ride one. I was actually, when we were at Edge County, Triumph was there. They're not the ones that told us that. We had some other people tell us that. But you dyno test all the bikes. Triumph is the fastest bike. And I thought that was kind of cool.
My eyes are taking me to Nick Romano, and 15th on a star bike. I was listening to another media outlet, and they were talking about that we're going to hear that Max Anstey has signed with Star next year.
I can see that.
And
Romano actually looked half decent this weekend.
Okay, but is it too late? Too
late? It's in my opinion, like, he would already be gone. But obviously, there's contracts, so you got to abide by the contracts. But you can't show up at the end of the show and expect to be the star. He looked okay. I mean, compared to the past weeks, he's been terrible. Supercross, motocross, it doesn't matter. He's not been riding at a star level.
One question though, because Star, they're not a Supercross only, and Max has stated he really doesn't really want to do the outdoors. I mean, he said that in interviews, like he likes doing the Supercross, or maybe that was only because he's riding for a team that only did Supercross. I don't know, but it in listening to his interviews prior, he's talked about, oh, he loved the Supercross and then the World Supercross, and the outdoors are really not. Well, if you ride for Stard,
you're doing both.
Are they cool with you going, hey man, I'm only gonna do
yeah
Supercross and I'm done?
I mean, maybe that's part of their contract. Yeah. It's like they gave Eli a that's different scenario. I mean, he's won them championships, has he?
Yeah, he won Supercross for him.
So, I mean, I guess maybe that's a different scenario. But if you're going to do it for one, you kind of got to do it for them all. I mean, but 250 riders can't really be picky about what they get.
But really, that I just saw his name, and that kind of made me think about the rumor I'd heard about Antsy signing with Star. Looking through the lineup for qualifying, I didn't pull off all the results. Hardy did not make the mains. Slade Varola did. I mean, not the mains, the motos. Slade Varola did. The Evan Ferry qualified 37th, had to go to the LCQ, and then did not finish. Are we just? Do we just need to go back to the drawing board? Like, I don't know if they're allowed to go back to futures. I don't know how that works, but like, it's not working.
Yeah, if Dad bought the team, maybe he should just be part of the team and not a rider.
Did he buy Wildcat Racing?
I don't know.
I mean, is there another presence? I don't know who else rides for Wildcat.
Rumors of it.
I mean, Lucrucio, does he ride for them? I don't know. I don't know who rides for Wildcat. Do we see any gasses?
I don't even remember who all rides for that team. I mean, they're present, but they're not present. So I don't know.
I don't know either. I have no idea. I don't know, but it's crazy to me that he came out and he's not even qualified. This is his style of dirt. This is it's East Coast. Like, he should be up there.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I don't know. I guess maybe I get perturbed at these guys because I want the Florida guys to do good. I want the local guys to do well.
Yeah, but I've kind of lost hope for him.
But it is what it is. But I think that's it. I don't have anything else.
No, I mean that pretty much rounded it all out. There was.
I did not know Slade Varola name was Vincent.
Yeah.
So that's it for the 250s. The upper half of the racing was really good, really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to enjoy this break. Sure, there's going to be some testing, and then it's straight to the sand pit from there. So
yeah, there's going to be Jett's going to get some healing. Yeah, I think he desperately needs.
Yeah, he's really talking. He's very honest, without giving too much. But James Stewart, who is, I guess that guy just sits around and watches videos.
Mm-hmm.
He can see like how he's sitting down more than he used to.
I could notice his body was fatigued. Jett's if you watch Jett ride, I mean, he's standing up all the time, and he's extremely flowy. He was still flowy, but nothing like normal. There was a lot of sitting down. His body's bouncing around.
And it's sad to say that he still went 1-1.
Yeah. Well, he down and out, and he's still on top.
Yeah. I
mean, it just speaks wonders of him. But there was competition for him now.
Oh yeah. There's believers.
But now he has to be depleted in order to have competition, unless he gets in his own way.
But he went out, put together the 1-1. Congratulations, Phil Nicoletti. The second hole shot was amazing. Like, the second moto hole shot was astonishing. Because I even told Michelle, I said, we're sitting there, and I'm like, look at how this track. The guys that are starting on the far left, they have to turn right before they can turn left. No one's pulling a hole shot from out there. Literally, they dropped the gate.
There goes
Phil Nick. I was like, never mind, I was wrong. And he just pulled it.
Yeah. And you get a lot of those guys that will run a scoop.
Yeah.
And they're gonna pull hole shots, but that track was, a third of it worked with the scoop, and the rest of it was way too slick for a scoop. So,
and that they talked about. Phil's only trying to get enough points he's trying to get the start,
yeah,
so that he can fade back.
and he just needs SMX.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in it for the money, and then he's gonna live a happy life.
Yeah, he's out of here. So, but no, great hole shot. Proved me wrong. I truly didn't believe that anybody on that far left side could get a hole shot,
especially over Jett. I mean, Jett and Hunter can.
Yeah.
Those bikes are working out of the hole.
Yeah. But Jett looked. I mean, for as rough as there was, his brother gave him a run. Chase gave him a run, and Jason Anderson was there. By the way, that was a pretty slick move in the second moto by Jason Anderson to pinch Jett off, and then Chase came inside and took both of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's just crafty. That's just crafty BS. Like you have such a hard on for these guys that you threw away your own race for
just to slap him in the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, good ride for Jett. Chase looked good. Like you said last week, why can't he do what he did at Hangtown? He did the same thing this week. The bike, they changed the bike right before the moto. He looked good in parts, looked twitchy in parts, comes over a little jump, downsides it, goes into a corner, and just the berm gave way, his front end gave way, and he crashed, and there it goes.
Yeah.
And it's over.
And I don't know that he would have won.
No, but he was there.
But he was actually, battling with Jett, which is something we haven't got to see. But it was, it's kind of a Chase Sexton thing. He struggles with the bike setup. And then it seems like he struggles mentally, and he was coming back.
Yeah.
He actually had a drive. So why can't he just ride consistently like that all the time? I don't. No. It's an on and off scenario. It's so weird, and then he makes the dumbest mistakes. Like they're so rookie, but he's one of the most talented riders out there. I don't understand it. I truthfully don't.
He made the pass. He's leading. I'm guessing he'd probably hit that rut 14 different times, and James made a valid point. At one point, down at the bottom of one of the hills, the kind of the off camber left before they come towards the finish line area, the triple step up and that Chase went through there and blew his feet off.
Mm-hmm.
Jett came in there, same hole, same rut, and Jett just kind of lays the bike in it where Chase goes in and attacks the rut. And I feel like that's what happened. You look at that rut coming over the little roller. He jumps the triple, lands it, and then the whole rut just goes away. Like he pushed so hard into it that it just gave way. And I heard someone say one time, past week or so, maybe golfers have to change their swing, drivers have to change their style. Maybe he has to change the style of riding that he's riding.
Yeah, he tries to bulldog stuff a little bit too much, and he can be so fluid and flowy like Jett. Like they look exactly the same on a bike until that bulldog comes out in him, and that's usually when he crashes. Like there's a part of him that shouldn't dog stuff like that because he that's where he makes his mistakes. I think he's like too bulky of a guy. He's pushing the bike into things and pushing too hard instead of staying light and feather like. So I do think like he's got to figure out a way to not bulldoze.
Yeah, I don't know. You hate to critique a second place finish, but we see that he can compete with Jett, Jett, and dadgummit, man, come on, like let's do this. Like you had an equal battle to go after the guy.
Yeah, and if you want to prove that you're that guy, then quit doing stupid stuff to make everybody think otherwise.
Hunter is riding well.
Yeah.
He's riding well.
This is his scene.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I hope this mentality of how he looks in the outdoors transitions, because we saw him start his 450 Supercross and he missed the first main and it took him a while. I hope that we're starting to see this. He's figuring out who he is, and we get to see this carry over into Supercross next year because he's just there. He's he's just a low key. He's a good interview. He's it's fine. Like everything's good. You know, I'd like to do better. I'm here, but
yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. There's another point I wanted to bring up with them, and I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Well, AP.
I expected AP to do a lot better than he did. Like
a 5.5.
Still good, but these are his conditions. Like brutal conditions are AP's conditions. I mean, but I guess if you look at the top three above him, you know, it's kind of hard to beat them.
That is a tough nut to crack, and I think that's where I'm kind of like, where do we expect him? We want more for him, but where do we actually expect him?
Yeah.
Like, is he supposed to beat these guys straight up?
No. I mean, I do think that he can.
Yeah.
When the conditions are right, and I believe that the conditions were right this weekend, that it could have been his weekend to be better than 5.5. He still gets fourth overall. I guess that is a pretty good spot, but I did in my mind think that he could probably battle these guys on this track after I seen, what it looked like.
I'm just going to say it right now. I have nothing against Justin Cooper. I think he's a great rider. That was the most quiet 5th overall. I don't think they talked about him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they showed him. They showed Jett. They showed Chase. They showed Hunter. They showed Aaron. They showed Jason. I think that's about it. I mean, they showed Shane McElrath and other people. I don't think I saw Justin Cooper one time on the broadcast.
No, not that I can think of.
And he was 5th overall.
Like the show was just Jett and Sexton. I mean, and that's kind of what they made the whole broadcast about. So I honestly didn't even see much of AP, just a little bit.
Okay, real quick, before we go too far. First moto, Jett and Hunter obliterated the field.
Oh, yeah. And then some.
Obliterated the field.
Yeah.
I told Michelle, I said, they're going to have their interviews done before they finish.
Yeah.
It was 30-something seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an incredible ride. Like, and I think that did take a lot of the steam out of Jett. I think those two love racing each other.
Yeah.
And then they'll get in a flow like that, and they're unstoppable. So, but I think that also took a big toll on Jett, which I don't think he got enough rest in between Moto 1 and Moto 2 to make that happen again.
Yeah. Because they obliterated. I mean, they obliterated. And I wanted to highlight that before we get too far down the road. Jason Anderson, 7.4. He's having a nice, quiet outdoor season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he put himself in the mix in the second moto because he got a lot of TV time because he was screwing with Jett. And then he got left. I mean, they left him once they got around. Once Chase and Jett got around him, it was over. But he's riding well. I can't say anything. Dylan Ferrandis, again, another quiet top 10. I didn't really hear from him much.
No.
So the 450 class, I hate to say, it's very top loaded. And that's sad because there's some really good riders. It's not like last year where there was only two or five riders. There's a lot of good riders, but the top 3 have separated themselves. We have to cover them. We have to watch them because they're battling.
Yeah.
I mean, even when Jett and Hunter had a 30-second lead, they were still covering him because we didn't know who was going to win the first moto.
Yeah. No, it was a battle. And we get to this next page, and I kind of bite my tongue because I see Christian Craig in 18th, and I said week by week I think he's going to get better. And bringing home an 18, what did he take?
38-13.
Which kind of screwed everything for him. He took a pretty nasty spill, I believe.
I don't know.
They didn't show it.
Yeah, there had to be something in the first moto.
I heard something about it. I'm almost sure, and it kind of screwed that whole thing up. So they're going to have a bad day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to happen. But, I'm looking for him to slowly climb, and that's a pretty big fall back. So,
and I don't know. But I also don't know. Is that really his style of track? A track like that?
No, that's a brutal track. And if you are fighting injuries like that, you're just coming off surgery. Like that's a tough. That was going to test your fitness.
I mean, the first 3 Western style tracks, they weren't super deep. They weren't super slippery. This one was nasty. Now we're gonna go to sand. I know he trains in Florida, so maybe he'll be okay. But that was a very technical. I mean, there were times they were attacking the track. There were times they were sliding around, tiptoeing around. I joked with Michelle. I'm like, you see how slow they're going? What does that mean I would be doing?
Yeah.
Like if they're going that slow, what would I be? Would I be paddling? Like would I be outrigger?
Feet all over the place.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think it sucks. I'm hoping that he had a crash and just kind of called it on the first one. But still, 13th is not where we want to see him if we're making those steps forward.
No, not.
I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if the 38th wouldn't happen, would he be a little bit higher? But like you said, the track was brutal.
Yeah.
It took a toll on quite a few guys. So we'll see. We'll see what Southwick looks like.
I mean, let's look at it. Justin Barcia finished 8th. Malcolm Stewart 9th. Shane McElrath, dude. First of all,
he was on it.
He was good. He was good. Here's the funny thing: they're interviewing him. Good interview. He's actually he's talking about the interview. And by the way, why does every motocross racer say we? It's you, dude. You're the only one riding the bike. Stop talking about we. You can talk about the team as we, but when you're riding, we tested this. You tested this. You're doing you, me. For God's sake, stop saying we.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they interviewed him. He must be shaving that stuff now. I looked at Michelle. I said, did he shave his eyebrows? And she's like, what is that thing on his face? He's got the 1970s Kojak porn stash going on, completely bald. But good ride, Shane McElrath. Top 10, that's good.
He ought to grow that out in the back and call himself Ron Jeremy. He could fit the bill if he grew a little bit of a gut. Hell yeah.
Grant Harlan and Frederick Noren, good job on them. We talked about Christian Craig, Kyle Chisholm. Dude, it may be time. I expect Kyle Chisholm. I know it's 23rd overall, but I kind of expect Kyle as a top 20 guy, 15th through 20, and it has not been a good outdoor start for him this year.
No, and
he's hurting.
He's slow. He's not slowly. He's quickly pushing into test mode only.
Yeah.
I think the racing's probably coming to a quick halt.
And I hate to say that because he's one of the legit Florida OG guys.
Yeah.
But we don't want to see you go out like this, man. Like,
no.
He's battling injury.
Fight it out.
Yeah, he's battling injury. He got points in the first moto, but dadgummit, man, like, we want more because we know what you were and we know what you do every weekend. You just grind it out.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But he's still beating guys like Max Miller, Cade Clayson, Jace Kessler, Colin Park. Colin Park I picked in fantasy because, okay, the kid's solid. He's back riding. Goes 35-33. Please tell me he crashed twice, landed on his head, was stuck under his bike, and couldn't get going.
Oh, that was incredible.
Because to finish 35-33, you're way better than that, man.
Yeah. But that being stuck under the bike.
I don't know. Who was that?
It was Dax Manical, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. He was stuck.
Yeah. You brought that up, and that was a hard hit.
Yeah.
And then to get your head stuck under the bike, I mean, that's brutal.
Yeah.
And especially in that kind of dirt, that was. I was curious to see if there was going to be some serious injuries come out of that because it almost looked like, I mean, you could see that his neck was free, but the way that the bike landed on him and then the sandwich on his head plus the heat, I mean, that was the exhaust side. So
he actually got 18th, 26. Are we sure that was him?
I thought it was
because he went 18-26.
I can't remember.
I'm trying to look.
Is there anyone that got a DNF?
Ashton Aruda had a 28 DNS, but maybe it was him. I don't know, but I just that was nasty. But there's some guys that maybe it's because we do follow this stuff so close. There's guys that we just anticipate, like we know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And
they don't perform.
Yeah, and we don't know. We're not there. I wasn't sitting at High Point in the trailers going, oh, so he's really sick, or he got run over, or he got T-boned.
Yeah, Supercross is a little bit different. I mean, you kind of you're more close quarters. You get to see everybody all the time.
Yeah.
It's you can kind of see how things are going to pan out, I guess. But with this, it's obviously we're not going to make the nationals all over the country. It's Supercross goes all over the place, but nothing like nationals do.
Speaking of getting back on a bike, I want to say congrats to our rider from Supercross this year, Rylan Munson. Been doing some riding, did some racing, won a Dash for Cash this weekend. So I don't care what you're racing, it feels good to win.
Yeah,
it feels good to win.
I think he needs it too. Yeah, I mean, a rough Supercross season, so we get a little confidence boost.
Yeah,
you know?
I sent him a little message congratulating him. He posted up a thing, and the people that put on the Dash for Cash were congratulating him for winning. And good job, man. Good job, Rylan. I'm happy. I'm happy that you are, one, back on a bike and healthy, and two, putting yourself out there to do some motos and good job. So I guess that's about it for High Point. High Point was good. These guys go into a good break. Then they're going to do another 3. I think 3 or 4. 4. They're going to do another 4, take another break, and then they'll finish up with 3 in a row. So get yourself a break. I don't actually know the schedule off the top of my head. I know we go to I know it finishes with Millville and Washougal.
Yeah.
Is how so I'm missing the second race.
I don't remember Southwick, and then
because we know it finishes Bud Creek Ironman. Where do they go from? Oh yeah, I don't have it. I don't have it in front of me, but we know we go Southwick. There's another race. Then it goes Millville, Washougal. They got 2 weeks or a week off because of Loretta Lynn's, and then it's 3 in a row.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Okay, it's gonna drive me crazy.
All right. Well, while we're transitioning from that, before we get started, you've had a week to reflect on what happened at Etchnacony, where Red you Bud. Go from Redbud.
I don't know how we're missing that. Miss but that? Yeah, Southwick and then Redbud.
And then we
Spring
go
Creek, Washougal, Unadilla.
How did we miss Unadilla and Redbud?
Then we got Bud's Creek, you know, that's and then Ironman.
Yeah.
The most, some of the most important races that we were missing.
Totally whiffed.
It's hot today. It's all right.
We do this for a living.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We don't.
Sure. I wish.
We live for it. We
Someday.
don't do it for a living. But you've had a week to kind of reflect on what Etchnacony looked like, where the program is, where Caleb is. What does 827 look like moving forward now that you've kind of had? I know the kids are gone. You're working on home projects. You're doing your job, but I'm sure in the recesses of your mind you have contemplated where do we go from here?
Yeah, I'm still working. I mean, I might be working on home, no kids, doing a lot of work just to catch up on work, but 827 is still the passion. So still work on it religiously. I actually did some research on other means of obtaining a pro license. So found some stuff last night, actually. Another way to obtain a pro license, so you can actually do some pro-am races or some big AMA events. You got to do at least 5 of them. And then we can get a reference from somebody, a high, I don't know the wording, how I want to put it, but, somebody within the sport in high regards can actually submit a reference with your at least 5 finishes from a pro-am or an AMA sanctioned event, and they can at their discretion they can issue a pro license based on that. So I actually got a phone call with Caleb tonight. We're going to talk about that a little bit. He's actually away for work all this week. So he's just working, letting his foot heal. Obviously, we had the injury at Etchnacony, so he's letting the foot heal. He's taking time off the bike, which is needed. I don't want him to injure that thing any farther. But we're going to talk about that, and then I got the pro-am schedule in there. It sucks that none of them are ever around here. The closest ones we got are Texas, so see if maybe that's something that he can make happen. Obviously, with work, it gets hard to do that. So see what we can do. We got that We got some Mini-O's, in November. So there's some races that we could hit that I think might help with that. If we can do the Florida Gold Cup, I'm wondering if that'll help some. It's an AMA sanctioned event. It's pretty well known, around here anyway. So if we can put it has to be in A classes. So those classes you have to be in A or Pro Sport. So B classes don't count, which he's not in B anyway. He races 250A, 250 Pro Sport. So if we can maybe get some decent finishes in there, I think we're going to try and push for his license that way. Economically, I think that just makes much more sense. It's hard to get your 60. It's nearly impossible to get your 60 points that you need for a pro card anymore. So, and when you're working a full-time job, it's essentially impossible.
Yeah.
So, that's the next step. That and still trying to get some sponsorship so we can get some parts on these bikes and see where the road takes us from there.
Okay, very good. When do you think he'll take his next gate drop?
I think when my kids come back, they come back this coming Tuesday, so a week from today. I do think we are going to go to Dade that weekend. They're going to do a Dade race and an I-4 race on Sunday. So I think that's a good way to test the foot for him to go there, see how it does Saturday night. We'll race there. And then if the foot feels good, get some gate drops Sunday. Because for a guy of that nature, being off the bike for 2 weeks is you got to get back into it. Plus, he's still doing all of his fitness and nutrition training, so I think that'll also give us a little insight on how he's feeling that way. Then we can kind of gauge out the next few races. So we want to hit some Florida series, and then try to look for some decent AMA sanctioned events around. But yeah, we'll just play it by ear. We hit Dade next weekend, 2 weeks, and see how he feels. If the foot's still bothering him, then he's gonna have to wait it out for a couple more weeks and go from there. But I think that's a really good place to like we said, to do the testing, and since we'll all be there, and just see how he feels.
Well, very good. And like we say, we're gonna bring this stuff up. We're gonna talk about it. We're the good, the bad, the ugly, and kind of right now with not really a dead period, but kind of like it's kind of in flux of what's next. So like a little insight. I don't know what we're going to do next week. We may take a week off since there's no motocross to cover. There's no amateur racing. There's nothing. So we may take a week off from.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt. Come back with episode 60.
Yeah, Southwick is a little dirty.
See if we can't do something special for that. Yeah. And I'll take a little bit of time, see if we can't get the studio looking a little bit better than what it does right now.
Hey, construction, progress. I always say progress is painful. And the fact that we're still here, we're doing it even with construction going on and paint splattered everywhere. It is what it is. And it's going to be nice. And by the way, as we're finishing up, it's starting to feel comfortable.
Yeah, this breeze is really nice.
But it was not comfortable.
No, we gotta sit through it, and of course it's all right. I got to lay under my truck after this, so I'll take the breeze.
Well, this has been episode 59. We discussed High Point, week off, training, recovery. We've talked about a lot of cool stuff. I think that's a good way to kind of go into a break. Enjoy your week off. I think there's some people are going to go on vacation. Some people are having races. There's ride weekends. For the pro guys, they're probably testing.
More than likely, yeah.
They're probably testing. They're probably not sitting on a beach in Cabo this weekend, enjoying themselves. But for Derek and I, we'll get back to work. And he is Derek Schaefer with DBS Custom Fabrication Handyman Service and the owner, proprietor, coach of 827MX. I am Trey Heath with Michelle and Trey Real Estate. This has been episode 59 of the Beyond the Curve DMX podcast, and we will see you all in 2 weeks. Toodles.
See ya.